All right, here's a really quick video about how to replicate something like this shape. You'll see it has a profile that's angled. It has some really interesting geometry here. Has some odd things about it, like these curves, which, I mean, I didn't replicate that part perfectly, but just to show you how I would replicate this with just calipers and a little bit of effort. I'll also show you, here's my model that I made. This is an on shape. And let me go through the histogram, go all the way back to my first sketch. So on this very first sketch, all we have here is a single, what is that, 39.75. And so what I did for that, very first profile I took was here. And I mean, I could have probably just made it 40. It's probably realistically more likely 40. I don't know how, oh, I guess I squeezed really tight. Okay, so yeah, like you can get 39.75 from that. The next profile I took, I created a plane that is offset. I determined the offset of that plane by taking this part of the calipers like so, and then you measure until that hits and you get a number. So I think I offset it by 31. And so you can then see it's 31 away from the other. The way that I then measured this as closely as I could. So you can see it's like roughly 37. So I just chose 37 because it's, you know, it's close. And then from there, you simply operate a loft. A loft will create this initial geometry, and you can see it has a profile. One of the key considerations when doing something like a loft is normal to profile. In this case is something I wanted for my start condition. And that is because if you look at this shape, this is the start back here. It's like perpendicular, right? It's like flat to that edge. It's not starting out already at an angle. It's flat and then it slowly curves. So I chose normal to profile and the end condition is none. That gives it that nice curve. From there, I did another sketch on the front. I simply measured a very rough measurement here. You can see it got me roughly 20. So I cut a hole through it for 20. I then made another sketch. This one's a bit more complex. So what I did here is I chose like a section view. And if we go section view and select this plane, we can cut that in half. You can then use a tool like this one here, intersection. So that gave me this base lines for here. I was able to draw that out. And all of these curves here are guesses, pure guesses. Well, I mean, you can see I have a 5 and there's a 2 there. So what I did is I looked at it like this. I roughly measured, let's see, I roughly measured like, oh, that's, you know, that's about 2 to the very tip top of this. It's about 2. And then I measured over here the depth of like how far in does this curve go, and that got me roughly 5. And then the rest was just hopes and dreams. Like this is a tangent arc to this line. This line's a tangent arc to here. This is a 2, this is a 5. I could sit here and like tweak this around. Oops, what am I doing? I could like end up moving this point around like that. And well, yeah, obviously not quite like that. My geometry's doing weird shit, but yeah, like I can sit here and mess with this profile all day. I didn't get this part of the profile super accurate. It doesn't need to be, honestly. But from there I did a revolve, and in my revolve settings, the key is to do an intersect. You can see I then replicated that shape and made it more round. From there I did a sketch which represents roughly the shape, again, like very roughly. I I went in and I measured this gap here using the back side of the calipers. So like that, whoops, like that, there we go. We can see it's about 5. So you can see here I did a 2.5 for halfway and then 2.5 on the other side with a center line just to help align it. And then I measured this line here that's 25 millimeters wide was me going here and measuring this distance. So I got, you can see it's close to 25. So I used that. I knew that this gap was only 5. I knew the depth of that by very, very roughly kind of just holding the calipers and measuring like that till I found like roughly a depth. It looks like I got 4. I don't remember. Oh yeah, there's a 4. So yeah, once I had that shape replicated, I then used, again, an extrude with an intersect. That ensures that we're only keeping the geometry which actually intersects with that drawing, which gets rid of this top piece. I then did a fillet just around that edge off. It looks like I then did a plane. Oh yeah, I made a plane that is slightly higher than the object itself. Let's see. No, I can't click on it. This plane here. So I made this plane here, which is slightly higher, so that I could create a new sketch, which is a full-size cylinder that is then a second shape or a second part. You can see it's just a plain cylinder. And this cylinder, I then do a boolean operation to subtract part 1 from part 2 with a 0.2 offset. So that creates a cavity in this part, which is shaped like the iron itself. And then from here, we create another sketch. This sketch is for creating a basic hole, and then there's one more extrusion. What did this one do? Let's see. Oh yeah, I just made it thicker on this side because I have to insert a bearing, so I needed some more material. And then I created this is the bearing, and this is the bearing extrusion, which is exactly 7 millimeters because that's the depth of the bearing. That creates this little inset for the bearing. I then chamfered this outer edge to give it a better profile. Created a cutout for avoiding the iron. So the iron was getting close back here, so that just kind of got it out of the way. This chamfer was for the purposes of 3D printing. I'll show you the before and after here. So that edge, if I printed it on this face, which is the face I want to print on, this would need supports. Instead of giving it supports, I chose to do a chamfer, and it's at like 45 degrees or closer to 90. So between 45 and 90, you'll be able to print this edge without having to support it. And then from there, it's all fillets, which just smooth it out and kind of make the shape a little bit nicer. And those are just all vibes based. But yeah, that's how I made a part for this really weird shape, only using calipers and my brain. And then this fits on here, and you can see it is very snug. That is going nowhere, and I did only that work to achieve that. Nothing more is needed. Just a pair of calipers and a little bit of brain power, and you can do it too.